during weeks 6, 7, 10, and 12, you've read a lot from Dr. Mimi Lee in this class. Not her forward in the new MOOCs book, not her MOOCs in Open Ed book, or the other MOOCs in Open Ed, or the e-learning in Asia book. But you've read a lot of articles. And so maybe, just maybe, you can test out Flipgrid while providing her with some feedback and insights and some questions. So let's go to it and try out Flipgrid, shall we?
Hello, my name is Parama C. I'm a third year PhD student in IST. I'm also a TA in Dr. Bong's R678 class. For this video session, I'm going to be talking about two of Dr. Lee's articles. One for the ISIS article and the other for rural, video conferencing, and both in 2007. The first article is with Dr. Lee and Dr. Sutton. What I find relevant about these two articles and why I picked these two is obviously, we have, there have been, in experiments where there has been video conferencing to actually connect to classrooms in rural or remote places. For example, Granny in the Cloud experiment that was done from UK, or even some adventure learning programs that Dr. Aaron Doring has done from the University of Minnesota. Why I'm talking about these two articles is for a situation like this, when all of us was suddenly forced to go online. This is such a relevant space to talk about this, and it would be great to if we could reach out to rural schools, connect to them, and have like experts talk to their students through video conferencing if that is possible. So I find these two articles really fascinating to. Hello everyone, this is Parama Bhattacharya, and I'm a third year PhD student. It is time for my candidacy exam, which is through my dossier 2, which is my first author study. And I want to talk a little about my study here. In my study, I'm trying to find out how teachers use technology in their classrooms in rural elementary schools. And this is I want to look at this as part of the digital divide that is still existing in schools across the United States of America. And what I wanted to say is I find it so difficult now to recruit teachers for interview. So I have written to so many organizations who are connecting to rural schools and to your school offices, to district administrators, but I have been able to recruit only like 3 teachers as yet. So if there is any advice that I can get as to how to recruit teachers, it would be fantastic. And my data collection instruments would be interview. I wanted to do a class observation, but now it seems like I'm going to do a Zoom class observation, and also looking at their lesson plans as part of document analysis. Thank you so much.
Hi, my name is James Renfro, and I'm from Versailles, Ohio. I'm a professor of education at Indiana University East in Richmond, Indiana, where I teach methods for elementary and secondary majors in science, also W200, Windows and Technology for teachers, and a host of other things. I'm super excited to be on Flipgrid. We've studied and looked at Flipgrid in class in my online course, but I've really never used Flipgrid in the classroom. So that's a little bit about who I am. Just some questions that I would have for you about your work. We've really enjoyed this semester going through articles and book edits and all of the things that you've provided along with Dr. Bong for us to be able to immerse into technologies. My question is from week 10, where we looked specifically at hurdles for motivation and online learning, and how do you see motivation being a positive or a hindrance when creating essential and engaging online curriculum? So that's my question for you. As far as content, my question for you is, what was it like when you were at IU?
Hi, Dr. Lee. How are you doing? I hope that this finds you in the best time of yours and you are coping very well during this pandemic times. I'm Raj Sankaranarayanan, a third year PhD student in the IST department, and we are very fortunate to read a lot of your work regarding MOOCs, self-directed learning, wikis, video conferencing tools, to name a few. Those were very well written, and thank you so much for the wonderful articles. My advisor is Dr. Cho, so I also read the piece on the Korean women leadership you co-authored with Dr. Cho. I have a question. So you started around 2007 on the collaboration space. You are predominantly working on wikis, video conferencing tools, etc. And then now, very recently, your research focuses on design-based research, MOOCs, self-directed learning, and informal learning. So how did you make the transition from collaboration to more individualized learning? I'm really looking forward to hear from you on that. Thank you so much. Please take care.
Hi everyone, and Dr. Lee. My name is Merve B. I'm a PhD candidate at Instructional Systems Technology Department of Indiana University, and I am also TA for the Emerging Technologies course. I'm assisting Dr. Bong, and I have a question about your 2008 study, which is titled as A Window on Wikibookians, surveying their statuses, successes, satisfactions, and socio-cultural experiences. In this study, you mentioned that the wiki sites are used as a social negotiation of text, and it was very interesting discussion for me. My question is, what are the current examples of similar spaces and tools where social negotiation might happen, just like these wikis? To put it differently, I'm interested about actually why the highly collaborative environments like social media is not a negotiation space. In contrast, it is very difficult in these kind of environments to have a negotiation, rather than it is like a dominant place, ideas just trying to dominate each other. For that reason, we have a lot of bullying, cyberbullying behaviors. So what do you think about the pedagogies of these two different spaces, wikis and social media?
Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Yichuan Yan. I'm a PhD student in IST at IU. I really like the article you published with Dr. Bang in 2013 regarding bringing a guest speaker to the classroom to increase the engagement and interaction in the classroom. I have a quick question that I would like to ask. So what's the greatest impact you have made regarding these instructional strategies you bring into the classroom? Thank you. Have a great day.
Hey, Dr. Lee. Nice to meet you online. My name is Zihang S. I work as an instructional technology consultant and the learning technologies unit at Indiana University, and I offer faculty workshops and webinars and consultations on the use of learning technologies in their teaching. I'm also a PhD candidate at IST and finishing up my dissertation. This semester, I'm a TA for this course, and Dr. Bang has shared a lot of your papers and articles in this course. Thank you very much for sharing your insightful ideas through papers. Now I have two questions for you. First one, what major challenges have you encountered in your pursuit of career aspirations? And I know you are a great mom and you have raised two wonderful young men. I have a 6-year-old boy, so could you share with us the 3 most important parenting lessons you have learned in your life? Thank you very much. Hope you and your family stay healthy and safe.
Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Barbara Hamilton, and I am in teacher education here in Central Kentucky. And I just want to thank you for taking a moment this week to interact with us. My research interests are in helping new teachers design instruction that support the access or multiple access points to student voices, specifically adolescents, using multiple modalities or new literacies. So I found it really interesting in your AECT presentation from 2015 where you talked about not keeping the video on, and you got a few questions about that. So I just want to thank you for the reminder. Sometimes when we use multiple modalities, we actually are causing, I think, overstimulation or barriers to our students. So that was a really helpful reminder. It also was interesting to read about rural teachers and the integration of the International Studies program from your '07 article. I teach students who are in teacher ed and teacher prep from all around the state of Kentucky, and lots of those students are going to be teaching in very rural contexts. So this was really interesting to me, and I just had a couple questions for you. I'm wondering how the concept of globalization might factor in to your conclusions now, and also this medium that we're using with Flipgrid. What if the teacher were taken out of the picture, the mediating, and the students got to interact like we are with asynchronous video?
Hello, Dr. Lee. My name is Maria A.G., and I'm an online doctoral student in the IST program. This is my third year, and I recently completed my qualifying exams. Yay! So now I'm on my way writing my dissertation. Dr. Bonk and his class shared many of your articles, and I think they're very informative and engaging. Thank you very much for writing and publishing them. I especially like your article with Dr. Bonk that is called Motivations, Achievements, and Challenges of Self-Directed Informal Learners in Open Educational Environments and MOOCs from the Journal of Learning for Development. One point that caught my interest was that almost half of the survey respondents in the study indicated that they used informal learning to learn foreign languages. I plan to conduct my dissertation research in my home country, Kazakhstan, and people there speak different languages, and many of them want to learn English. My broad dissertation topic is about teaching and learning EFL and ESL, English as a foreign language and English as a second language. I was very pleased to see in your study that people want to learn different languages, and this even motivated me more to make progress with my dissertation research. Hello again, Dr. Lee. My time was up in my first video, and I decided to record the second video to ask my two questions that I prepared for you. My first question is, how does informal learning help you in your personal and professional lives? And my second question is, what strategies do you use to select good quality informal learning resources? Thank you, and I look forward to hearing from you.
Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Amanda Zarecki, and I am a student in Dr. Bonk's class at IU Bloomington. Thank you for all of your research, and I found it really interesting how you talked about the expanded classroom and the guidelines for integrating experts into the classroom. Do you see these guidelines being used more now due to teachers being forced to be online? And if you've given this any thought, would you add any new guidelines, or is there anything that you would change for the current environment of people working from home in the pandemic? Thanks again. I found your article super interesting.
Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Bev W, and I'm one of the students in Dr. Bonk's R678 class. I'm interested in nursing education, as I'm currently a nursing professor, and I enjoyed reading your preface regarding MOOCs and access, and some of the things that we talked about were actually in the class were how to determine whether or not a MOOC, how to evaluate whether it's successful or not. And the point I brought up is that really it's the objective of the MOOC to determine whether or not how you can evaluate if it's been successful. So for example, if a MOOC is designed just to be available worldwide, then really the way to evaluate that is it available worldwide versus the number of people actually complete it or drop out or that sort of thing. So good luck in everything you do, and it was nice talking to you.
Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Yaniv. I'm an online EDD student at IU Bloomington. I live in Pacific Grove, California, and I serve as a department chair at the Defense Language Institute Foreign Language Center. As with some of my colleagues' questions in this grid, my question relates to the application of your research to the current situation with COVID-19 and the growth in online learning. In 2015 and 2017, Dr. Bonk, you and others published 2 articles that basically validated each other and examined the learning preferences, goals, challenges, etc. of online learners in a MOOC and in an OCW newsletter. In 2018, Dr. Bonk, you and others wrote a book chapter for trends and issues where you highlighted design issues with MOOCs. One specific statement that was especially powerful for me related to some of the perceived issues with ex-MOOCs is lack of individualization, lack of feedback, learner's sense of isolation, weak of assessment. So if we take your research on both learners and designers of MOOCs and we apply it to the current situation, do you think that MOOCs are given a fair chance to succeed, whatever your definition of success is for MOOCs, or are they doomed to fail since many of the issues that we had before with learners and designers are basically more extreme currently? Thank you.
Hi, Dr. Lee. Thank you so much for offering to answer our questions. My name is Rachael Koblitz. I am a student in the master's program, IST. I live in New York City, and I work at a company called 2U, which is an online program management company, working with a team of learning designers to help help professors put their master's degree courses online. So I recently read yours and Dr. Bonk's article in the Journal of Learning for Development on the motivations and achievements of self-directed informal learners in MOOCs. I really appreciated this focus, made me kind of reflect on some of my own motivations and challenges. So my question for you is, how do you see motivation and challenges for self-directed online learners changing right now in this environment where we're all locked down? Some of us are out of work, potentially bored. How do all of these things change? And then my second question would be, obviously there's a lot of activity in online education right now. What would you like to be studying? What do you think we should be studying? What are some interesting research questions right now in this particular environment, taking advantage of all this kind of activity in online learning? Thanks so much. Bye.
Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Rachael Zeiher, and I am coming to you from beautiful Bloomington, Indiana, where, despite my location, I am actually an online master's student in the IST program. So first of all, I want to thank you for all that you've done to sort of leverage technology to further education and bridge cultural divides. And I've read a couple of your articles this semester. I've read the one you did with Dr. Bonk on the OOPS project, and the one you did for the ISIS project with Dr. Hutton, whom I've had the pleasure of meeting. So in both of these articles, breaking down barriers seem to be part of the story. Cultural barriers, language barriers. But those were written in 2007. So now in 2020, what are some of the ways that technology is helping to break down barriers to learning and promote cross-cultural understanding? Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Rachael Zeiher, and I am coming to you from beautiful Bloomington, Indiana, where, despite my location, I am actually an online master's student in the IST program. So first of all, I want to thank you for all that you've done to sort of leverage technology to further education and bridge cultural divides. And I've read a couple of your articles this semester. I've read the one you did with Dr. Bonk on the OOPS project, and the one you did for the ISIS project with Dr. Hutton, whom I've had the pleasure of meeting. So in both of these articles, breaking down barriers seem to be part of the story. Cultural barriers, language barriers. But those were written in 2007. So now in 2020, what are some of the ways that technology is helping to break down barriers to learning and promote cross-cultural understanding?
Hello, Dr. Lee. Thank you for all the contributions. It's been great getting a chance to read your works and some of your edits. My name is Christian Smeltzer, and I'm in Indianapolis, Indiana. And I just want to touch on the 2019 Forbes article about energy education. That was fascinating. You brought in George Siemens' connectivism ideas there. I have 3 questions for you. First question, in following with George Siemens' ideas about knowledge creation through connectivism, how do you propose this knowledge could be verified? Second question, again, following the idea of social connectivism, how do you envision old or outdated knowledge being archived, perhaps for historical purposes or for training purposes? I can see this becoming paramount when you have terabytes of data, as you say in the article, coming from just a single oil well in one day. So, huge issue. Third question, trying to look at that same concept. What happens when the knowledge that is created in a node becomes out of vogue? Does it just die in the ether, only be found in fragmented forms in the Wayback Machine on the internet? Thanks. I'd like to hear your thoughts. Bye.
Hi, Dr. Lee. It's a pleasure to meet you. My name is Carrie Hansel. I live in Greencastle, Indiana on a small farm, and I work in Indianapolis at IUPUI as an online instructional designer. And I'm also an EdD student in the IST program in Bloomington. Next year marks the official start of my year of dissertation, so I'm super excited about that. As part of Dr. Bonk's class, I read your 2017 article with him about motivations, achievements, and challenges of self-directed informal learners in open education environments and MOOCs. Personally, my heart is in designing rich online experiences, so thank you for all the insights that you shared. Although it was a focus on MOOCs and OER, I think that a lot of your insights can be applied to some extent to other online learning situations. We just have to be creative. So you mentioned about how we need to better understand the barriers and challenges of our learners in MOOCs. What are some new barriers and obstacles that you see from our new reality that our learners are facing, and how might we best address this as the battle with COVID-19 continues to interrupt the lives of our learners?
Hi, Dr. Lee. This is Tina Closser. I'm an EDD student, and I currently work as STEM coordinator, science, technology, engineering, math coordinator for Naval Surface Warfare Center in Crane, Indiana. We outreach to a bunch of schools in our district, having field trips and after-school programs. And I read The Emergence and Design of MOOCs, and it was interesting to me to find out what the different kinds of MOOCs were, just get an overall feel for design considerations and business plans and that kind of thing. The most interesting part to me was the business plan. And when we talked to Dr. Timothy Q, he told us that an average XMOOC cost about $250K, which was really surprising to me. So what are some of the most interesting business plans that you've seen for MOOCs? What I know different MOOCs are different things to different people and clients, but it's been interesting to me to think about what is the return on investment and what is the future of MOOCs in that direction.
Hi, Dr. Lee. My name is Kathryn Lauten. I am faculty at IUPUI. I'm director of the program in French, so I really have appreciated all of the works from you that we've read on intercultural communication and understanding. I was particularly interested in your ISIS program, thinking back about having grown up in rural New Hampshire, where I would have so appreciated having something like that. I graduated from high school in '85, so obviously the video conferencing capabilities weren't quite what you were able to put into your program as you got it off the ground. One of my questions is just if you have any comments or if you have any anecdotes about those kinds of intercultural communication experiences that you've been a part of or have witnessed in some way, where you've seen different pedagogical approaches from different cultural backgrounds coming together in a way that enriched the whole approach to education, not just that people became more culturally aware or sensitive or knowledgeable in some way, so that actually the educational practices changed in either direction or both directions. Thanks.
Hello, Dr. Lee. My name is Ashia Willams, and I am a student at Indiana University in Dr. Bong's course. We have read a lot of your work and research in education and technology throughout the semester. Particularly, I have a question in your expanded classrooms using video conference article. There is a big part of it you said has to do with planning with the instructor and the expert. I was wondering, what role do students play in the planning process? Are they actively involved, or is it just preferences and research done from prior works? Or just a little bit more about what students' inputs are put into the planning process. I want to thank you again for all that you've done, and I hope that you are well.
Hi, Dr. Lee. I hope this finds you well and you're in the best of health and spirit. I'm Kartik. I'm a second-year residential master's student in the Instructional Systems Technology program here at IU Bloomington. I'm also one of the face-to-face students taking Dr. Bong's Emerging Learning Technologies course with a lot of my peers. But as you know, in the current situation with COVID-19 and the pandemic, a lot of our instruction was moved online, just like that for many students around the world. And I was particularly interested in one of your articles that Dr. Bong was very kind to share with all of us. He in fact has shared a lot of your work and articles, but this one stood out the most. And that's to do with motivations, achievements, challenges of self-directed informal learners in open educational environments and MOOCs. So considering the current COVID-19 pandemic situation, how do you think this study would have been affected had it been conducted in a pandemic environment? How would the results have changed? What trends would you see now that you didn't see back then? And what's the best way to analyze that data through learning analytics? And secondly, speaking from your own experience, what are the various tips and advice you would like to give to instructional designers around the world at this time?
Hi, I am Kelsey DeClerc. I am a third-year doctoral student in the Literacy, Culture, and Language Education program at Indiana University, but my minor is Information Systems Technology. I live just outside of Salt Lake City, Utah, so I'm a distance ed student, and I am also, we have a small business, so I am here on a Saturday taking care of the business while we can. Thank you for speaking with our class and for all of the information that you've provided this semester. It has been so helpful. In the article, Turning MIT OpenCourseWare into Chinese, an analysis of a community of practice of global translators, you mentioned that incentive was really important, strong leadership, and then there was a need for enthusiasm for those that are working on translation. And I'm just wondering how applicable and transferable you find those findings and this process for other languages, and is fluency in one of these major languages a prerequisite for OpenCourseWare, and how will this affect particular populations?
I want to say thank you to the loads of students, 16 or so, and my TAs, 3 of them, who have read and responded in Flipgrid this week. You've read a lot of articles from Dr. Mimi Lee at the University of Houston, and you've gotten into some depth in these short video posts in Flipgrid. It's been wonderful, marvelous. You may not have read our award-winning book, but you read a lot of things nonetheless. And so I want to thank you for that, and all semester long you've been reading a lot. I've been killing you. And I also want to thank Dr. Lee herself for writing those great pieces. I've included it in the class for at least a decade, about 13 or so years. But after the decade's over, the course is going to explode, the syllabus goes away, and so this is the last chance. And so I'm really glad that we had this chance to read and reflect, and I wish you well in your journeys this summer, wherever you may go. Thank you very much.
Hello, Dr. Lee. I hope this message finds you and your family healthy and safe. I am Cherise Mahabir Cletus, and I'm from Grenada, a small island out in the Caribbean. Dr. Bong shared your work with us this term, and I found it to be very insightful. You've done a substantial amount of research on MOOCs and open education, and I particularly enjoyed the article on the emergence and design of massive open online courses, since I've never dabbled in MOOCs, and it served as a great frame of reference for creating one. I particularly like the guidelines on designing MOOCs, and I have 3 questions for you. 1. Have you ever designed and facilitated a MOOC? If so, tell us about your experience. Was it what you envisioned? What were some of the lessons that you learned? 2. From your experience, what advice would you give an instructional designer looking to promote the use of open educational resources at their institution? Where would they start? And 3, reflecting on your experience completing your doctorate in IST at IU, what advice would you give a doctoral student? Thank you very much for your time. Keep well and keep safe.
Hi, Dr. Lee. This is Yichuan Yan again from Toronto, Canada. I was just reading your article, Using Interactive Video Conferencing Technology for International Education, this article that you published in 2007. My question for you is, if you're still involved in this program today, what would you do differently since this article was published 13 years ago and the video conferencing technology has progressed a lot in the last 13 years?